Hello and welcome to my review of the Little Boy Scout, which is a small fixed blade knife by Wise Old Knives. Who's Wise Old Knives? It's a gentleman called Bruce Rugg, who I initially got to know through YouTube, and he's now making and selling knives, only in limited quantities at this stage I believe, for Gear Bastion. This particular knife is a joint effort with Kylie Harris of CKC Knives in New Zealand. As I understand it, the design of the knife was a collaboration between Bruce and Kylie. Kylie organises the water jetting, and I think the heat treatment's done by his heat treatment specialist in New Zealand. The blanks are then shipped across to Bruce, who does everything else, handles, grinding, sharpening, polishing, manufactures the Kydex sheaths, etc. So that's the history of how this knife came about. How did I get my hands on one? Well, I was really lucky. I won a contest on Bruce's channel, so I actually got this for free. Now, does that mean that I owe the man a good review because I didn't pay for the knife? Hell no. I'm going to give it a fair assessment, and I'm happy to say that I don't have to bag the knife out and say it's a pile of crap. It's actually a really good knife, beautifully finished, does its job well, and I'm really impressed with it. So quite a bit of a look over this knife and just have a talk about some of the experiences I've had with it. I've only used it relatively light use, food preparation, some light EDC tasks. I don't ever really plan to heavy use this knife. It's quite a special knife to me, but it certainly gets used. So we'll pull it up here and have a bit of a closer look at it. We'll zoom the camera back, or we'll try to. Very organised here this evening. First of all, let's just have a look at the finish on this. Bruce is very well known in the YouTube knife community for the polish jobs and finish he does on knives, and I think you'll see there what a lovely job he's done on this. It's basically got a mirror pin polished blade. He's also polished up the micarta handle there. It's got copper pins. Just a really nice knife to look at. If we have a quick look at the markings on this particular example, with some focus, you can see a couple of CKC stamps on there. As mentioned, that's where the blank started life. And I really like how you can see the roll forging marks there. Bruce left those on, which I think looks fantastic. Great contrast with the polishing. We'll roll it over, look on the other side, and this is number 3. Now, I know there was one batch of these done. I don't know whether there's going to be more of these knives made, but anyway, I've got number 3, and pretty damn happy to have my hands on it. This knife is basically designed, as the name might suggest, the Little Boy Scout name, as a first knife for Boy Scouts or young people in general. Now, the one I have has been slightly modified from the standard design, and this was an option that Bruce gave the winner of the contest. Normally it would have more of a true Warncliffe shape, not so much of a little bit of a belly here, and more of a blunted tip. So for the younger children, that's what it's designed for. As Bruce put it, and quite rightly so, for older children such as myself, the option was there to grind a little bit more of that edge up and put a sharper point on it, which is, to me and probably most of you guys, a more useful sort of blade shape. It's probably the most straight cutting edge blade I've got, and I wasn't sure if I'd like it, but I actually really do. As mentioned, food preparation, cutting cheese, fruit, tomatoes, that type of thing, it just goes through them really nice. It's an N690 blade. I didn't measure the thickness of it, which I probably should have done, but I'll grab a tape measure and we'll have a look at that now. In millimetres, it's probably about 3.5, maybe just under 4 millimetres thick, the blade stock. So it's not a really thin knife, but having said, it's also not a thick knife. Just for a quick comparison with this, and just to show you another knife that is an actual CKC knife, same steel. This is CKC 1.0. It's also an N690, slightly larger, obviously much thicker blade stock. Interesting enough, it slices every bit as well as this one. This is a full convex, and just to show you the type of finish that Bruce produces, and I'm certainly not going to go at Kylie's finish here because this is a great working knife and I don't particularly want a flash finish on it, but you can see there Bruce definitely knows how to finish up a blade. Funny thing is, when I won this, Bruce asked what sort of finish I wanted. I said, oh, just a satin finish, mate, I'm going to use it, don't get too carried away. But I rather think that Bruce can't really help himself, and once he starts doing a blade, I think he just keeps polishing until he ends up like this. But really nice. I love the copper pins with that micarta. I think that looks really cool. I'm not sure how well it's showing up in the camera, but it just works in really nice and gives it a really nice effect. As mentioned, full flat ground. It's got a secondary bevel, of course, on this, so it's not convex or anything like that, as you'd be used to seeing with anything with a CKC stamp on it. Overall length of the blade, the knife, is 6 1/8 of an inch. The blade length, I should give you a conversion of that for metric people, shouldn't I? 6 1/8 inch overall, 157mm overall length. The blade length on it, which I could remember, 2.5 inches. Whew, really not with it tonight. Or 64mm. The knife weighs in at 3 ounces exactly, or 86 grams in the metric system. If we throw in the Kydex sheath with the paracord that came with the knife, the overall weight of the whole package is 4.6 ounces, 133 grams. We'll just have a quick look at the Kydex sheath at this point. This is what was supplied from Bruce. Knife fits in there lovely, it's ambidextrous, one fold. It's got a nice subtle little ramp there for your thumb, but it's very effective and works well. Knife rides in there very deep. You could mount this up for a belt carry, you could carry it in your pocket. I've actually got the paracord that Bruce supplied. I did change the mounting a little bit, but it's set up for a neck sheath. And just out of interest, anyone who's looking at how to set something like this up, this is what I've done. I've put a couple of knots in there to stop that paracord moving around, and then just tied off that end, worked out the length I want, and it carries very nice as a neck knife. So I'm really pleased with that. Obviously, being a lefty, I've got it set up so that I reach up with my left hand and push off. If you're a right-hander, you'd mount that paracord around the other side and carry it that way. So when I carry it, this side is against the body. Sheath's very, very nice. I've got no complaints about it. I think it's a black or a graphite colour. It's almost black. But as mentioned, great retention, good design, and very functional. So well done on the Kydex as well, Bruce. We'll just do a quick cutting test. Now, I should stress that I basically suck at cutting tests. We'll have a quick crack at it just to show you that this thing does cut. A little bit of A4. Better off camera, always is. A4 and I have a real problem. As soon as I turn the camera on, it seems to become very difficult to cut. Not sure why. But of course, we're not going to use knives just for that. We're going to use them for utility purposes. One of the things I found is excellent with this blade shape is for detail work. I've got a nice little point on the end. Run my finger up on the edge here. And we've just got a bit of 550 paracord here. And we'll just push cut it. No problem. Slicing, of course, better still. Great little blade. Now I have very lightly touched that blade up, basically just stropped it and realigned the edge a little bit with one of Kylie's, don't know what he calls those things, that thing there, because I had been using it. So I just basically made sure the edge was in alignment and then stropped it and brought it back, and as you can see there, hair shaving sharp. So very impressed, Bruce, and I really want to thank you very much for running the contest and for sending me this. I'm very impressed with it. Great little slicer. The quality's extremely good. Great steel, great materials, and it just performs out of this world. So very, very pleased with it. If you get the chance, I'll put up a link down below to Bruce's YouTube channel. Get over and check his channel out. Please subscribe. The man really should have a lot more subscribers than he currently does. And also I'll pop a link down below to Gear Bastion. I don't know if I'll be able to pop a link directly to Bruce's store there, but you'll be able to find him. He's one of the founding members. Wise Old Knives and Accessories, I think, is his store name. If you're not already registered on Gear Bastion, it's a great place to have a look at some good stuff. You can register there and then subscribe to the various stores or makers who you really like. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that. And thanks again, Bruce, for the knife. Love it. Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.